of the South, your Unrel sub-podcast, but if not becoming the better podcast of the two. We obviously are the queens here. Jess, Kelly, welcome. This is our World Cup special. We are at Midway Pub. We literally just got done watching the U.S. hammer Thailand. It was a great game.
Pray for Thailand.
Pray for Thailand. Hashtag pray for Thailand. Because that was and I mean, blowouts are normally like, would you think like 4-0s, but we're looking at 13-0, which is a record-setting blowout, by the way, in a World Cup. The previous record was held by Germany, and we've now topped that because there was 11-0 and now it's 13-0 US. So
I mean, uncomfortable to watch as a neutral. Uncomfortable to watch as a goalkeeper. I mean, I've had a few of those. I've been part of a couple of those games. I've led in 13, 14 goals before. And
you had a game like that?
Yes, I've led in 20 goals against QPR once, and I'm still traumatized. I was 10. I got voted player of the game.
10. I mean,
still 20 goals. It still traumatizes me 14 years later. But we'll get back to that game. How's the World Cup going for you right now? Are you loving this soccer fever?
Because it's exactly the way we said it was going to be when we were heading into the World Cup, right? We expected a lot of these teams to come in really level-footed. We saw a lot of the teams who were considered favorites, right? So Germany in particular is considered a favorite in this entire tournament, considered to be one of the teams that could go all the way. And they came in a little flat-footed when they played, and I'm blanking right now, but they played against, why am I missing
It's because we've watched 20 games.
We've watched 20 games in the week, and I literally... Anyway, Germany came in a little flat-footed, so it's that issue of China.
Oh, China. Yeah, China. You know how I remembered? Because Jay and I had a Twitter argument about the physical size of players, and what I was talking about is Germany, their physical stature is far superior. China were dirty. We're going to use the word dirty. I'm going to say it. They were dirty.
That word, but we're using
it was tactics. It was tactics. They came out. Okay, this is the word I'm going to use. They were chippy. They were chippy. They were trying to leave their feet in a little bit late. They were trying to ruffle up.
When you come in studs up multiple times,
let's get the metaphors. They were ruffling feathers, and it worked.
They ruffled feathers. When you break a feather, it's not ruffling feathers.
Well, they ruffled really hard, and it worked. Germany was shook. And China, their game plan was different. They've always been this weak little petite side of mini little Chinese people that weren't physical. They came in and they played hard. They played strong. They potentially played a little bit dirty. I think there was some gamesmanship there. But guess what? If I'm a Chinese player, I'm okay with how we play because we ruffled those feathers. It sucks that some of the German players are out injured. That's not a good thing. No. But you know what? It was effective. It was a good game plan for them.
It absolutely was effective. They disrupted the play of Germany, one of the real true contenders in this tournament, and they just stifled them, which is very impressive. There were a lot of games that were like this when we saw the Argentina game, right? Argentina came out, wasn't expected to do very well in that game against Japan and squandered them. They disrupted their play, they disrupted their momentum. You see Argentina, a side that's been to a few World Cups but hasn't really garnered any points. And they got there first because they came out with a plan. They held their defensive lines and they took it to the very end of that game.
Absolutely.
0-0. That's impressive.
Let's remove today's game. Just get rid of this, treat this game as an anomaly. There really hasn't been, and I know there's been a couple of 4-0s, but it's been a very equal playing field. Until today, there's never really felt like a true blowout. You've never looked at the game and felt uncomfortable, even with the Jamaica game, with these games.
You never watched the game and felt uncomfortable? Yes, I would agree with that, but I still feel like the France versus South Korea game was a blowout.
Okay, but in terms of today, let's just use this as a ballpark. Okay. Most games in this tournament are closer than they've ever been before, and that is such a positive thing for women's football. It shows that women's football is being appreciated across the world, and no longer are there 3 or 4 powerhouses in this tournament, and that makes it so much more fun for the neutral. I've had so many people comment about how this is their first real experience of women's football, and suddenly they're thinking, okay, this is pretty good, and that's because there aren't blowouts, because bar today, they're not fun to watch as a neutral, and it's hard to.
I still think they are, though. I mean, when you look at the game that was played today, the Dutch, the Netherlands against New Zealand, that was a very entertaining game to watch. The New Zealanders are not a team that you would expect to come in and hold New Zealand.
But those are fun. I'm saying close games are more fun.
Yeah.
Far apart games aren't fun, but like I say, what's so cool is the fact that women's soccer is being invested in. Let's get on to that. New Zealand versus Netherlands. You talked about that briefly. How was that game?
That game was incredibly enticing to watch, right? So you saw a team, New Zealand, who had a lot of clear-cut chances. Gregorius had at least 2 good shots on goal, could have easily slotted it in if her footing would have been a little bit more stable, and then you would have seen a game where the Netherlands are down 1-0 to New Zealand, which going into this game, I myself thought the Netherlands were going to steamroll this game. I mean, right?
Netherlands are European champions. They're coming in strong.
You've got 2 people, 2 women who play for Arsenal who just won the league, right? You've got another woman who plays for Lyon. You've got their top 3 strikers in that formation that could just blow people out of the water. But you've got Riley, their defensive left back, who just completely shut down that left wing.
And that's what's cool. It's good for the sort of underdog, how equal they're staying in the game, but at the same time you have to look at these favorites and wonder, are they getting too comfortable? Are they underestimating their competition potentially? And are they coming out with the right game plan? You have to look at the Dutch coach and wonder, did they underestimate the Kiwis? And when you watch her goal celebration at the end, she is so relieved.
And it was a substitute, by the way.
Yeah. So she redeemed herself potentially.
Yes.
Potentially her starting lineup wasn't correct. She redeemed herself with her substitution. And you know what? The Netherlands will feel like they got away with one. But as much as the New Zealand are going to be heartbroken with that sort of stoppage time goal that I predicted, by the way. I saw it coming. It's been
You said 2-1 though.
I know. I said 2-1, but I said
score right, but you got the stoppage time.
Heartbreaking loss, I think my term was. New Zealand will be bummed out about that, but they have a lot of positives to take from this game. And I tell you, that group is going to be a tough one to get out of. There's a lot of close teams in there.
I think looking at the all 4 teams in that group, I think New Zealand has a really, really good shot now, if they play their cards right, of getting out of the group stage a second, if not a very top contender for the third. And I said that. New Zealand has to hold their own against the teams they'll play against, but I really feel like they've got a very, very good shot of getting out of that group, either second or first spot of the third grouping that goes into the knockout rounds.
And you know I'm rooting for them because their flag looks a little bit like the Great British flag, you know? Colony forever, let's go Kiwis!
We're not doing colonies forever, that's the first joke. Moving on, we had in my opinion, right before the time that was stopped for the lightning delay, right? So the severe weather delay. I thought Chile had a really good hold of this match. We're talking about the Chile-Sweden match, obviously. Chile, in my opinion, coming up till where that break stopped, had a really good chance of getting a point on the board. They held Sweden to their own. They disrupted their play just like every other team has, Argentina, China, be it whatever it is. And we were really looking at a team that could contend.
But I'll tell you what the difference is in all of these games. It's the level of professionalism that these players have in their domestic careers. Now, when you look at a team like Sweden, there's a lot of professional leagues in Sweden, in Scandinavia, and Europe. When you compare that to Chile, where South Americans are only just starting to invest in female soccer, these teams are working so hard for 80 plus minutes.
Yeah.
They're working their butts off. They're playing a really exhausting style of play because they never have the ball. They're constantly having to run. They're constantly having to shift. They're constantly having to make makeup runs. They're exhausted. And that's why we're seeing so many goals in this tournament in the last few minutes. That is the difference between professional soccer and amateur soccer. One group is training every single day, playing week in, week out. The other is having a full-time job. They're not fully able to commit to their careers. And that is why teams that do not invest in professional domestic soccer will not be able to compete in the World Cup. It doesn't matter how much heart you have. It doesn't matter how much spirit you have. It doesn't matter how much work ethic you have. Because I would say Chile top Sweden on all three of those things. Work ethic, heart.
Well, when you also look at the game with Cameroon, right? So Cameroon, the federation with Cameroon can't actually adequately pay the players who are traveling to the World Cup. And this is not only on the women's side, this is on the men's side. So it's a federation for Cameroon itself that can't adequately provide for playing, provide for practice time, provide for friendlies. And you see a team like that that has the ability and the speed for Cameroon to really, if with practice and
they would
with
compete
time,
if the money was
could
in
compete.
there.
But the money's not there. It is about the investment. It's about these South American teams finally getting the investment. It's about these African teams finally getting the investment, right? And Jamaica, and that in as well. Jamaica with their coaching staff not even being paid for this tournament. You're seeing a lot of African teams, a lot of South American teams that aren't at that precipice yet of paying for and investing in these women's teams. And I think that we're seeing with this World Cup, even with the little amount of resources that these teams have, they're still showing up and showing out.
Look at
There's
4 years'
so
time.
much potential.
4 years' time is going to be exciting because I know
if you give Jamaica, if you give Cameroon, if you give Argentina, if you give Chile, the money and the infrastructure to be allowed to compete like the Europeans, right? Like the US, like Canada, we are really gonna see an even better World Cup because then we're all on the same plane. Then we're getting the adequate resources for those female players to just get better.
Absolutely. We won't get into it today, but this is why I'm telling you, the US, if they do not adapt their professional league for women, if they do not expand across the states, if they do not change the pay-to-play model that develops only one group of children to be the best soccer players, 4 years' time, 8 years' time, 16 years' time, this is about
You're going to see a Cameroonian team who decided to invest smoke them.
It's exciting. It's a good time to be alive, and it's a good time for people to see, and hopefully this is a wake-up call for anyone that doesn't value the investment in women's soccer. Back to the Chile-Sweden game. I want to talk about goalkeepers. You know, goalkeeping is my thing. Christiane Endler.
Oh my God, what a game. That save on the touchline where she can barely see the ball and gets a hand to it, the quickness and the reactions of saving that goal. I mean, that's the best goal save we've seen this entire tournament.
Absolutely, but as I mentioned with Jason the other day, the level of female goalkeeping is blowing out the roof for so long.
Schneider with Jamaica.
For so long, women's goalkeeping has been seen as the weakling. People have began to respect women's field players. They began to see, okay, they're pretty technical. Okay, they can do these turns, they can do these crosses, but everyone has always looked at the goalkeepers as a weakling. And we still see some weak links. We've seen it in some games, but for those teams, for those female goalkeepers that are playing at the highest level, I mean, Chile's goalkeeper plays in France, she plays for PSG.
She does.
You can see the difference that they make in this game and the quality they have, and it's fantastic to sort of see the game equalizing. And
she kept them in that game.
Oh, absolutely. And what was impressive about her was the fact she was a leader. I loved seeing, even after she'd let in a goal, it wasn't her fault, obviously, but even as she'd let in a goal, she brought this group of young Chilean players,
gathered them in a group
together and told her, look, get your heads up, let's get out of this. And I mean, Chile, like we said, we've said it time and time again, it's all about the investment in the female game. These players, bar her, and a couple of others maybe barely play at a professional level. They hung in there, neck and neck.
Schneider is 19.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, Schneider's 19, but she plays in college. It's a little bit different.
I mean, she's still 19.
She has potential. Like I say, I said actually call
And
this.
by the way,
I said the U.S. missed out on
You missed out on Schneider. That's an unbelievable talent that's coming up, and she had to go to Jamaica.
Well, we'll see. We'll see. It's too young to tell. Goalkeepers blossom.
I don't know. I think her reaction to her and her ability to read the players and read the momentum of the strikers coming forward. She's a really good talent.
She's a good talent, but she's got a long way to tidy up her game. 19 is very young for a goalkeeper. You see goalkeeper, it's a different position.
Yeah, it is.
We're not based on so much our physical ability like younger players. We're based on our maturity, reading the game. She's still got a little ways to go with that. fantastic player. I do think the US probably missed out, considering what they have right now in terms of goalkeepers. But
on the youth side, also, it's not necessarily what we're looking at for on the World Cup stage, right? But what's one of the most interesting, and you can maybe comment to this, is that no team really in particular has this star goalkeeper, right? So none of the goalkeepers in the tournament really have claimed that number one goalkeeper position.
You're talking about the USA?
No, I'm talking about all of the goalkeepers in the tournament. Who would you consider to be the best goalkeeper in the tournament?
Based on their domestic league, Endler, because she plays with PSG.
Okay.
And with France and in that league, which is so competitive. But I mean, I see what you're saying. There's no Hope Solo. There's no figure point.
There's no
player.
figure point for the
But maybe that's a good thing, because I love Hope Solo, great goalkeeper. But let's be honest, she runs her mouth a lot, and there's a reason why she's become the figure point of female goalkeeping. And potentially there are some, and we won't get into these controversial topics, but there's some reasons why Hope Solo is not playing for the US Women's National Team.
And there's reasons why she's not being a commentator for the US.
She's on the BBC
international markets. It's only for BBC.
Everyone, so get your VPN and watch on BBC, because the commentary is so much better.
It is what it is, but I will. One of the last things I want to point out about this Chile-Sweden match is that out of the entire game, other than Endler, Toro on the left flank, their left back, was there defensively the entire game. And I gotta say, out of Chile's entire team and Sweden's entire team, that was the player of the match for me. She was at every critical moment against Sweden when they were going at ball, when they were defending. She put her body on the line. She was an incredible player to watch. It's unfortunate with the rain delay that Sweden came out on a fresh foot and was able to regenerate.
The rain screwed them, let's be honest. The rain screwed them. The fact is...
And this being their first entry into the World Cup play, it kind of sucks that this is the way that game went.
But we'll see how things happen. They've got an easy opponent coming up in the USA on Sunday, so that should be a fun one. I'm sure Chile are rooting for their success after seeing the next game we're going to talk about. USA annihilating, destroying, robbing, I don't know, just beating
lighting on fire.
Just beating up the Thai national team.
Like killing them and then killing them more.
It was
and then setting their body on fire.
Did anyone else get tagged in a picture of a Thai baby crying? Because that's what happened on Twitter. I got tagged in a picture of a Thai baby crying twice. Twice you tagged me in it, and I'm not okay with that. Because I felt like the Thai baby. Because like I said earlier, been there, done that. These sort of games suck for one team. But Kelly, I'll let you start. I know USA through and through. Go on, how did you feel about the game?
Hold on, I will say, I am from the US and I love USA through and through. When we get to that quarter round game against France, it's going to be a very hard game for me because I'll probably have to wear both jerseys at one time.
You're from America. What is wrong with you, woman? That's like me being like, if England plays USA, I'm going to struggle with who to root to. No, ma'am, you do not have a French passport. You do not live in France. I do not care what you say. You are an American.
It's not all in my head.
She's an American. Basically what Kelly is saying is she knows that France will beat the USA and she wants to root for the winning team.
I have France as winning the whole thing. I just do.
It doesn't mean you shouldn't support your team.
I support my team through and through. I love them.
But you'll have to wear a French
But when it comes to the quarterfinal, it's going to be hard.
Win
it's going to be a
draw.
hard game to watch.
Win or draw, I'm USA. If they lose, I'm French. God. Bonjour, Kelly.
Needless to say...
Identity crisis.
It is an identity crisis. Needless to say, it was a demolishing of Thailand. There is a lot of points being made right now about this game on whether or not, after 6 goals, 7 goals, if even that at that point was too much, if they should have already put themselves on the back burner.
Oh, hell no. Hell no. There is no, and I've said this time and again.
When we were preparing for this, you told me that they should have stopped.
No, that's not what I said. No, that's not what I said. There is no mercy policy in professional women's soccer. There is no, this is not high school. There should never be.
In the World Cup, because if we're talking about the one tournament that you do not put yourself on the back burner and take it easy, it's the World Cup.
I didn't say.
Because everybody is qualified to get into this tournament. I'm not angry at you. I'm just saying. This is not the tournament or the game, regardless of the score, to sit back on.
I didn't say it should stop. As a professional, if I'm on the USA team, I want to keep going to the 90th minute. And that's what they did. They scored their 13th goal. Carly Lloyd scoring in 3 World Cups. Excellent stuff for Carly. In the 90+2 minute, they worked hard till the end. But as someone watching the game, in my heart, I was hoping that the Thai goalie might grow 5 feet and start covering the whole goal with her jumbotron arms.
Unfortunately, that's not possible. I don't know what games you watch where goalies grow 5 feet in a game.
That's like my dream. If I'd have grown 5 feet, I'd have played for the English women's national team. I'd have been in the World Cup right now.
What's your size now?
I don't know. On my college roster, I was like 5'7".
Oh, she's not 5'7". I know this for a fact. But yeah, it wasn't just a demolishing. Let's talk about it. So, Alex Morgan, obviously the lead goal scorer in this game, got 5 goals this match, right? Carly Lloyd has now scored in 3 World Cup. It's not a final. I mean, it's the
World Cup finals. That's what the World Cup is called as a whole, because it's not the World Cup qualifiers.
Yes, but
it's the final tournament of the World Cup. The World Cup finals. It's the World Cup tournament. That's what we call it. It's not the World Cup qualifiers. You've qualified for the World Cup finals,
right.
And then there's a final of the World Cup finals.
But she got a hat trick against Japan.
What are you talking about? She scored in 3 separate World Cup finals.
Oh, so we just call it finals, even though
the final tournament.
It's the finals.
It's the finals because they qualified. They're not part of the qualifiers. They're in the World Cup finals. It's okay, guys. Look, Kelly's mind just blew. She has had like 2 beers, a mimosa. It's okay.
Why are we keeping tabs?
She's daydreaming about France.
I am daydreaming about France.
Anyway, Carly Lloyd has now scored in 3 World Cups.
Yes.
In Kelly Talk.
Kelly Talk.
Who else scored? Because there's a lot.
There's actually a lot. So one of the most interesting things about this game in particular, when we're talking about the scoring potential of this game and the results that we got, right? So we were looking at least 2 other players outside of not Carly, but outside of Alex Morgan, who had the ability to get a hat trick, right? We had Roosevelt sitting on a brace. We had Muse sitting on a brace. Rapinoe, in my mind, got the best team goal of the match, which ended up being their 12th goal, I believe, where Carly Lloyd disrupted play in Thailand's end of the field, passed it to Kristen Press, who does what she does best, which bomb up that right field, right? And then passed it over. And for a second, when I was watching it live, I thought that Alex Morgan played a dummy to Rapinoe, but it just, and replay, I could see that Alex Morgan just wasn't able to reach the ball in time, and Rapinoe made the run. But when you're thinking about a team goal collectively through and through, you're looking at that goal, right? Because you've got your striker, Carly Lloyd, disrupting play for Thailand, passing it out to Press, your winger. She's bombing up the field, slots it through to your other striker, Morgan, and your other winger, Rapinoe, comes for the follow-through. That, to me, was the best goal of the match. It didn't matter whether it was the 12th goal, the 2nd goal, the 7th goal. It didn't matter. That was the best goal of the match, because that's exactly why you do not put on the brakes, right?
Yeah, and
things like that, the combination play between all of those players is why you do not put on the brakes. You need that combination play to start the momentum forward.
And what I think is cool, if you're a US fan looking at it, is that you had, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 different scorers. That's cool because you've got squad depth. It shows that you have goals from different places. So many times in professional soccer, you end up relying on one player to finish your goals all the time. And that's difficult in tournament soccer because it's so many games in a short space of time. So the US has that squad depth. They have those goals in them from different players, and that's exciting. But I am going to play devil's advocate here. Let's be honest, you're playing against Thailand, 35th in the world, didn't come in with a performance. Their marking looked like they were marking ghosts. They were marking thin air.
Belgium beat them 7-0.
Yeah, you were playing against Belgian women's soccer. Like, they beat them 7-0. Thailand somehow made it to a World Cup. Great for them. They were at practice practice yesterday taking selfies with the USA team because they were so excited about this chance to play these superstars. Look, I think it's brilliant they made it here. It's great that they're playing at this level, but does this really mean that much? Is it really that impressive that you're scoring goals when the goalkeeper is throwing the ball to you, or when the defenders are parting like the sea, and again, biblical references aren't my thing, but parting like the sea of whatever when Moses walked through. That's exactly what it looked like. You know, there was no defense. The poor goalie was left overexposed constantly, and is it that impressive?
It's not an impressive number. No, I would not take it onto like that. This is an impressive game, and its players played impressively, right? So like we're looking at actually a different lineup that was expected, right? So Sauerbrunn actually was left out of the starting 11. She's a central back that we expect to see in the starting 11, but was left out for precautionary issues with a knock that she got earlier in the week. And we saw Ertz drop back, and we saw Haran take the mid. So honestly, more than anything, this was a compromise, or not a compromise, but this was a look to see how things would flow between players. This was a practice for them.
Yeah, but they would have more. Let me say this.
Okay.
They would have a better practice playing against 11 USA players against 11 USA players than playing against Thailand, who don't have a single professional player in their team. There was no competition when
That's
they
not
faced.
that's not our
I'm not saying it's
problem,
not your
though.
problem, but I'm saying that I think it's going to be problematic for them. They're gonna walk past Chile on Sunday. Sweden might put up a bit of a fight, but when they come, let's just say everything happens and we do end up with a France versus USA game. France going to be more prepared after playing potentially tougher oppositions, and the USA having walked through a practice game.
Okay, they're not going to walk through because, I mean, as you said, I don't think Sweden's going to pull up that much of a fight, but they are going to put up a fight, right? So Chile is not.
They'll beat Chile 5-0 easily. That's my guess.
With what I saw from Chile today, I don't see that being a possible thing. I mean, I might be wrong. But
Their legs are going very
I mean,
Look at me running out
they're
to
so tired. They're gonna be
circles.
so tired at the Sweden game. But we're looking at them playing Sweden. We're looking at them playing Spain, right? So Spain itself is also a contentious fight. So I don't see them having a cakewalk to France.
It's just we said it with Jay in the pregame. It's all about getting hot at the right time. I wonder, have the USA got hot a little bit too early? Are there too many people in Midway right now saying that it's another World Cup in the books? Like, I don't know. I just wonder.
You have teams that you've got to fight against, though, that are coming up that are just as good as you. And the one team, and we've talked about this, you and I, Jason Longshore with our World Cup updates, have also talked about this idea that France and US are going to be compared side by side. And that's because they are exactly the same. They've got people on their team that, even though they're not strikers, have the ability to strike at any time, right? They're the most deadly going forward and the most solid defensively, that mark in comparison with the US, with what we're able to do. So when you're really looking at a team that can do that, I mean, the only other team that I can think of in this tournament is England, who has the ability to hold that defense. I
don't know about holding defense right now. I'm a little shaky about England.
I mean, Scotland, you played a good Scotland team, but that's your first game in the group stage. So yeah, the US got in my mind, a really easy group to get out of. Mm-hmm. But unfortunately, the way that everything lines up in the bracket, they're not going to have an easy run to the final. And that's, I think, what matters the most, is that if everything falls into line the way that brackets should fall in line, you're going to see US come out of this group in the first place. You're going to see them meet Spain in the knockout. And then you're going to see them have to fight against France in that quarterfinal.
This is a good one. Based on today's performance by the USA, France and USA face up. Who wins?
If we do not have okay, so hold on. I'm gonna be solid on this. If we have Haran in the midfield and Ertz having to play as a center back, we're screwed.
This gal claims to be American. Donald Trump. Get over here.
Unfortunately, Donald Trump is American.
Ertz made her career as a center back.
She did. I'm not saying she's not great.
Jay is getting into the argument right now.
Time out. No, time out.
You just won 13 million.
Let me explain myself. Jay is heckling me because he's not allowing me to explain myself. Julie Ertz is the most solid midfielder that we have. If we're playing a game, I want her in the midfield. She's absolutely great as a center back, which is where you got me wrong here. She's fantastic as a center back, but if I'm looking at a game going against France, which is extremely dominant in possession, extremely dominant in a counterattack, and if not, just attack in general, you need that midfield to break up their attack. And if Julie Ertz is not in that midfield, we're screwed.
And this is why Kelly struggles in Twitter, because she only has 140 characters to get out her rage. So she thinks we're screwed. Well, why am I saying we're? I am very not USA. You think USA are screwed? I would think it'll be a close game, but I think France will come
is
through.
win.
But it's
I'm not saying that we're screwed thing. I'm not saying that France is going to blow us out. I'm just, oh my God.
Jay is yelling very vocally the word
Do
screwed.
you want to take my place, Jay?
I'm just really shocked that you said the U.S. are screwed.
Look, if Sauerbrunn does not make it back to the back line, right, and we do not have Julie Ertz in the midfield, I'm looking at the camera now because I should not be looking at Jay. We do not have Julie Ertz in the midfield to disrupt the play of France going into that quarterfinals, yeah, we're going to have a really hard time getting out of that game. Because I can tell you right now, Renard is not going to let us.
Kelly's American meter. Kelly's American meter just crashed.
13 goals, and now it's screwed.
13 goals. USA are playing France.
Thailand. We all agree that Thailand was not the opposition we could count 13 goals against. You guys are setting me up to fail on this.
USA, you are screwed. You are screwed. I just hope Alex Morgan.
Because you were wearing an England.
I just hope Alex Morgan isn't watching our podcast, because she's gonna be so upset that we think she's screwed.
I think that you need to get Sauerbrunn back. And you need Ertz in the midfield.
So you brought up my England jersey. I have to touch on this for 1 minute. You watched the England game. I watched the England game.
Yes, I did. And Scotland almost got the better of you.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not bothered about you saying that. I think she's trying to hit me in the heart. There's one thing that will happen, that will never happen. I will never root for France against England. I will never underestimate my team. I will never cheer for Scotland because I am English. Anyway, yeah, it was a close game. There was 45 minutes, it was not a close game, but 45 minutes England was all over them. I think if we'd have finished a couple more of our chances, if we'd have stayed on side, we had a couple of offside calls. If we'd have got 3 goals in that first half, game over, we win that game 6-0.
Yeah.
We win that game 6-0. Scotland obviously got a freaking hammering from their coach. Scottish people are really scary. I wouldn't want to be yelled at by that lady. I think she basically...
What's so funny is that I watched that match on my laptop during travel as I was coming home from Baltimore, and my mom was sitting right next to me on the plane, and I had my laptop up, and my parents were watching the game with me on silent, right? My mom looks at the Scottish coach and she goes, "Oh, I would not want to be a player for her team."
Well, the Queen just gave her an MBE, so she's doing something right. She's a great coach, but she probably gets the best out of her players by absolutely bollocking them. They got a bollocking, I'm sure. 45 minutes later, they were a different side. They pushed England. England got complacent. Really disappointing defensive turnover for the goal. Looked too much like the men's team in the Nations League. Really disappointing out the back play. We've seen a lot of that in the Women's World Cup. Stop trying to do too much. Get rid of the fucking ball. Stop trying to pass it out the back pretty. Sometimes you gotta whack that ball out.
Sometimes you do. Yeah.
It's not all about
it's a
pretty.
defensive measure. Yeah.
But I was happy with what we saw in 45 minutes. If we can put that together for 90 minutes, we'll be a real challenger. If Scotland can put together their second half performance for 90 minutes, they'll get out the group. Not too bad. I think we're good. I think we're happy.
I think England's first in that group, Scotland's second. That's my opinion on that group. That's how I frame it.
But we play on Friday, so I'm excited for that.
Yeah, it'll be a fun game to watch, a fun game to see how it ends. There's a lot of really impressive games coming up. we're seeing a really interesting one tomorrow with Germany versus Spain. What do we think is going to come out of that game? I mean, Germany came out of the gate flat-footed. They lost their number 10 as of right now, depending because of a broken toe that
Those darn Chinese dirty players.
She suffered from playing with China, but Spain was impressive when they played. So what do we see going forward with that game? I mean, I think out of the two games tomorrow, I mean, you also have France versus Norway tomorrow, which might also be a really, really interesting game.
Yeah, I mean, it's a tough one to call. The predictions are so tough in this tournament because there's so many different factors going into it. I think Germany, as I said in the last game, gets a bollocking like the Scots did, and I think they come out and they play stronger. They are missing a player. I think they got their wake-up call against China, so I have Germany for that one. France versus Norway again. I think the Norwegians are a good team. They've got goals in them. They've got real athletes. They've got professional players. It's going to be a far more even match for France.
It is.
You've got two teams with a fully professional squad.
Right. This will be the first time that we really see France be contended against.
But I see France again, 2-0. You've got that. The 12th man thing isn't a myth in these World Cups. It does make a huge difference being on home soil, particularly if you take the pressure. I don't think France has any pressure on their shoulders. I think they've come into it with an open mind, particularly because of the success of the men's team. So I'm excited to see.
I honestly think that gives them pressure, though.
I
don't think
played
there's an open mind on that. I think France knows that the entire country is watching them.
France played with so much fun. They're going out. They're chilling. They're chilling.
No, I don't think so. I think France knows what's in stake for them in this tournament because unlike the men, they're not playing on foreign soil. They were not playing in Russia. So if they were to fall out of that tournament for the Men's World Cup, they're in Russia. It's not on home soil.
I see France winning.
But it's on home soil.
I see France winning 3-1. And that's about it.
I mean, I'll take it.
Norway's screwed.
She thinks she's French anyway.
Norway's screwed.
Freaking Frenchy over here. That explains why she's so rude.
What are we saying with I think I'm French? I know I'm French. I'm not directly from France, but I'm French.
Where's your French passport?
I love you so much. I love you so much. For anybody who supports another team in this World Cup that's not from your home team, I support you. Because it's not about having to stand by your nationality 120%. Like when Colombia play in different teams and she supports for Colombia, but she shouldn't because she's English.
That doesn't make sense. In the whoa. In the World Cup, when Colombia played England, I was in a house of Colombians. When England beat them in a penalty shootout, I told everyone else in that room that England were the best. If Colombia plays England, there's no question. If Colombia plays someone else, of course I root for them. I mean, I will have a Colombian passport one day.
So my question is because of my nationality, I am 100%.
Kelly's terrified. She's just given up.
Just make a double jerseys or whatever.
Thank you.
Kit Boys. Get on to Kit Boys.
I'm gonna message Kit Boys and give them both of my jerseys and say split it in half.
It's okay. I love it too.
You're allowed to support who you want to support. You're allowed to see who you want to see out of the end of this tournament, regardless of.
But if you root for France when France plays USA and you're an American, you should be deported.
Wow.
Such a hard line.
That is hard.
It's all or nothing. All or nothing, guys.
Look, I want France to win that game as much as I want the US to win that game. But that is going to be the game of the tournament, in my opinion. And there's 100% no way that's not going to happen now with the way that the US have played this game.
Unless they lose to Spain.
Because they're screwed.
Unless they lose to Spain, which you're absolutely right.
Anyway,
I didn't take that into account, but it could happen.
Are we Women's World Cup out?
I think I'm Women's World Cup out now that I've got yelled at by two different people.
But we love you. It's okay.
I do love the US. I love France. France is my pick. That's my pick, and that's my professional opinion on it. I'm allowed to have the professional opinion, as you're allowed to have the professional.
No, I agree that I have France to win the World Cup. I have France to win the World Cup, but I will not cheer for France if France somehow came across England. I don't want them to win. Just because my brain thinks they'll win doesn't mean I want them to win.
Okay.
That's just cheers.
What it is. Regardless, I'm glad you tuned in. I'm glad that you went through this journey with us at Midway Pub. We had a great time.
Yep, lovely.
We had a good time watching the U.S. blowout.
What's your Atlanta United score for tonight? There's an Atlanta United game.
Oh, that's right.
Prediction.
Okay, so the Atlanta, if you're watching this, obviously the game has already happened. Unless Jay's a freaking wizard and puts this out before the game is aired.
Not happening. Not happening. Jay has sleep.
Producer Jay Riddle's got sleep and things to do. But my scoreline for this against the Charleston Battery is, I feel like we're going to see a lot of our subs playing the match. We're going to see maybe Brandon Vasquez finally getting a start again. We're going to see
Brandon Vasquez?
Oh, isn't that funny? He plays for our team. We're going to see Paul Pogba starting. We're going to see Andrew Carlton slotting in the midfield. I might be interested in seeing Andrew Carlton and Justin Miram connecting. But I think maybe we win this 3-1.
Not bad. I think we'll concede.
Yeah.
We're going to have Khan in goal.
We're going to concede at least one.
We're going to have Khan in goal, probably. Maybe a bit of a mix and match in the back four. I'm going to go with 2-1.
Who's somebody that you see on the starting lineup that's not normally there?
Vasquez.
Oh, by the way, he plays for our team. I just want to let you guys know that. Brandon Vasquez, if you don't know who he is, just look him up. He played for us the first season. He did really well the first season. He actually was one of the better subs in the first season we ever played.
And then Barker ruined his life.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I'm not going to comment on that. But either way, I'm glad you tuned in. Thank you again for chilling out with us, hanging out with us at Midway Pub.
Sorry, this was probably really intense. Me and Kelly kind of had a fight.
We get into it when we talk about the World Cup. It's a very heated debate. And we look forward to bringing you more World Cup content, so just keep it posted, honestly.
What about Jason's show? Should we get that out there?
Absolutely. So every day, around 5:30 or a little bit later, either Jason, Jess, and I will all be on the phone, or it'll be one of us with Jason. We'll have a call-in to wrap up that day's World Cup matches, give us our analysts' approach on the games that were played, our feedback, our opinions, and then also give a preview of the games to come the next day. So if you want all of the World Cup content, introduction on players, introduction on teams, analysis of how the game is going to go, check that out every evening for Soccer Down Here. This has been Queens of the South with Unrelegated and Atlanta United Fan TV. We are so glad you joined us. We'll see you next time.
We're screwed!
We're screwed.
Oh my God, I can't believe
Queens of the South.
World Cup special.
Sorry, we were in a vibe, Jay. Just let us have our vibe.